Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of June 5th, 2025, including, with the Xbox Game Showcase just days away, let's go over everything we expect and hope to see at this big blowout event. All that and more coming right up. On this week in Xbox history in the year 2013, 12 years ago, Remember Me was released for the Xbox 360, developed by Don't Nod, the Life is Strange people, and published by Capcom, a publisher that never worked with Don't Nod again, if I'm not mistaken. This game is it's like a brawler action-adventure game from Don't Nod. This was their last game they did before they made Life is Strange. I mean, this game was like... I remember this being not good. I remember this being a game that was not well received. I never played it. I just remember people kind of shitting on it when it came out, and that's all I really know about it, and that it was very different from the games that Don't Nod would go on to create and then become well known for. Although, one thing I really appreciate about Don't Nod is it seems like they kind of spread the field. When they try to do something new, they just really do something kind of entirely different from what they've done in the past, which I appreciate. But, Remember Me? Apparently this wasn't it. I don't know. I never played it. But 12 years old this week. Crazy. It's crazy how Remember Me is old enough to be 12, which means it's old enough to remember that it's supposed to remember me, which is just wild. Guys, welcome to Xbox On. Eli De Silva writes in and says, hey, nothing Xbox or video game related. Or no, it says nothing Xbox but video game related. That makes more sense. Because you said Super Nintendo World just opened here in Orlando. Have you gone or plan to go? Please make a huge review when you do. I did. Well, Eli, I'm a little concerned about this comment. The reason I wanted to read it at the top of the show is because, with all due respect and love, I think I have to make a little bit of an example of you because, sir, do you not listen to the podcast every fucking week? Do you not listen to every second of every episode with bated breath? Are you not closing your eyes and pushing the outside world away from you so you can concentrate on my every word? Because you would know, what was it, 3 weeks ago? Something like that. I went to Super Nintendo World. They were doing, whatever. The Universal's been letting people, everyone who even knows a human being has been, in the Central Florida area, has been to Universal's Epic Universe like a million times because everyone in Central Florida knows someone who works at a Disney or Universal theme park. So all you got to do is be like, this guy I know has a pulse and he got me in. So everyone's been, and then I missed that period. That was like, I don't know, March, April. And then in May, they were letting Universal annual pass holders and plebeians like myself pay exorbitant prices to check out the park a few weeks before it opened. And I was dumb enough and to be one of those people who said, hey, I'll pay an exorbitant price to check out the park when half the big attractions aren't even operating yet. And so, yeah, we went a few weeks ago, and it was awesome. I loved it. I think it's a great park. And yes, we checked out Super Nintendo World. I don't know what I was expecting because I remember when they announced that they were doing a Super Nintendo theme park world, whatever, with Universal in like 2013, 14, whatever that was. I remember I was so hyped. I was so excited about it. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the most exciting thing ever because I love theme parks. I love Disney World. I love Nintendo. I was like, this is going to be great, right? And then it took them so fucking long to finally make good on that promise. It took them over a fucking decade to finally bring this shit out, I know it's like, oh, there's one in California, there's one in Japan. That doesn't count. None of that counts. They said they were building one of these motherfuckers in Orlando, Florida, like 25 million hair follicles ago. And it's just, we've waited too long is the problem. So by the time this park was finally opening, I was kind of like over it because I was like, I've waited so long. What I have no energy left to give or direct towards this project. But when the park opened, it suddenly was like, okay, now I'm excited. I want to check out this new theme park. And when we went, man, I don't know what I was expecting. Again, I knew I was going to like it. I knew it was going to be cool. I mean, I love theme parks. Any excuse to see a brand new theme park is just an exciting opportunity. But dude, Super Nintendo World blew me the fuck away. It's like, and after years and years of seeing videos and pictures of it, because people have gone to the one in Japan and people have gone to the one in California, the little gimped version they have over there. It's like, dude, this thing is fucking awesome. I really do have to say, Super Nintendo World is, it's got to be my favorite thing Universal's ever done. But I feel like in terms of like, yeah, I don't know. Let me not rate it that way. I'll just say this. I'm not going to talk about it as a theme park nerd. I'm just going to talk about it as like a fan of like Nintendo and Mario and shit. I think it's really, really, really fucking awesome. and it more than lives up to what it advertises itself to be. One theme park person thing I will say about it is, a big trend for Disney and Universal for the big theme parks the past decade or so has been trying to shoehorn these shitty little mobile game apps, these paid experiences, these souvenirs you buy that interact with the land, and kind of like trying to make the land more fun. They did it with Avatar Land. They did it with Star Wars Land. Universal does it with Harry Potter Land. And they've all kind of mostly failed, but somewhat succeeded to varying degrees. I know people really like the wands that you can buy and use in the Harry Potter lands. I think Disney's done a god-awful, horrible job with their Star Wars and Avatar lands, trying to do like mobile app interactivity in these theme park lands. But I gotta say, Super Nintendo World nails this about as well as I could imagine a theme park pulling this off. The whole like buy this stupid fucking $50 Mario or Donkey Kong bracelet like an idiot, and then run around the land punching blocks, collecting coins, collecting keys so you can unlock a boss door, and then joining with a bunch of fucking 7-year-olds in a theme park and having a boss battle with Bowser Jr. Like, the way they pull that shit off is actually fucking awesome. Like, I thought that game, I thought like that whole experience, that whole adventure, that was actually my favorite part of my entire day at Epic Universe. It wasn't exploring new roller coasters or just being at a new theme park. It was literally going on this stupid little fucking Mario adventure with my dumb little wristband, punching blocks, kicking 7-year-olds out of line so that I could be the first one to save Princess Peach and hope that she preserved her virginity for me and no one else. Everything about it, dude. Shout out to Super Nintendo World. The Mario Kart ride, I see why it's controversial. I think I fall in the camp of I appreciate what they were trying to do too much to dislike the ride. So I really like the ride. The Yoshi ride, I wish it was longer, but it's fucking awesome what it is. I love it. The Donkey Kong ride has a weird audio issue where it's just too quiet. That ride really needs onboard audio. But aside from that, it's awesome as on animatronics. The theming's fantastic. It's so good. But the big attraction in Nintendo World is not the rides. It is the land itself and the interactivity and kinetic nature of that land. And if you give a shit at all about immersive experiences, or you're a Nintendo fan, or any combination of those two things, you really owe it to yourself to go here. Whether you're in another part of the world and it makes more sense to go to Japan, or you live on the West Coast and it's easier to go to California, whatever the case may be, I highly encourage you try and make it out to one of these Nintendo Worlds, although preferably the Japan or the Florida one, because they have Donkey Kong and bigger space and all that. The California one, from what I understand, is like very gimped and very underwhelming by comparison. But dude, Super Nintendo World, I'll leave it at this. The Yoshi slushie, to die for. The land overall, it's probably my favorite thing Universal's ever done. Like I thought going to Epic Universe, I was going to kick that theme park nerd thing back into gear with me, and I'd be like, man, I just want to go to Epic Universe again and again and again. It's like, I don't really have a big urge to go back to Epic Universe again and again and see the Harry Potter and the How to Train Your Dragon and the monster stuff. Like, I enjoyed all that. I had a great day. But I really want to go back to Epic Universe strictly because I want to go back to Super Nintendo World. I really would like to spend just another full day kind of neglecting the entire theme park outside of Nintendo. I just want to spend a whole day in that one land. It's great. I highly recommend it. Thank you for asking, Eli. But that is the last time we will go into in-depth detail explaining Super Nintendo World. If anyone else writes in and says, Jesse, are you going to check out the new Super Nintendo World? I will, like a cartoon character, I will put myself into an envelope and address myself to your house. I will mail myself to you. Then you will open your mailbox and pull out a letter with my name on it addressed to you. And you will rip the letter open, reach in, and you will pull out me. And I will be there with a gun in my hand, and I will shoot it. But it will just be a little flag that says bang on it, because I'm not going to actually shoot you. I'm not a fucking psychopath. But it'll be enough to scare you. And then I'll say no more repeating things I've already said. Now, what I've been eating. Have you guys ever heard of Taco Bell? No. But yeah, thanks for writing in, Eli. I'm always excited. I have no one to talk to about theme parks. My girlfriend's so over theme parks. I don't have theme park people in my life. So thank you for letting me vent my theme park enthusiasm on this episode of Xbox On. Guys, speaking of not talking about Xbox this week, guys, we are days away from the Xbox Summer Showcase, the Games Showcase. We didn't really talk about this too much in the past week or two leading up, and I'll be honest, circling back to Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch 2 and like this weird like circling back to my love of Nintendo, this rediscovery has really pulled me the fuck away from Xbox. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I love Xbox. Xbox has always been my favorite place to play, and it will probably always be my favorite place to play. And I just finished Doom: The Dark Ages, which we'll talk about this week, and I love Xbox. But I'm just really hyped about Switch 2 and all this Nintendo shit, and I'm just kind of like in the mood for that. So aside from that, really the only thing I've been able to do the past few weeks is grind through work, play Switch in anticipation of Switch 2, and watch some baseball. So we're going to talk about Xbox this week, but I just got to be honest with you guys. This is part of the thing about having an Xbox podcast as an enthusiast and not as someone who does it as a job. It's like, this is, I make this arbitrary commitment to always be here and always do this podcast, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm just not really in an Xbox mood right now. Now, I'm hoping that all changes this Sunday, because the Xbox Summer Showcase, the game showcase, it's always fucking hype. I mean, Xbox does a fantastic job of these every year, pretty much, and I suspect this year will be no different, although I think it's worth mentioning. Is it just me, or like, does it really feel like there's not a lot of hype this year surrounding really any of it, Summer Game Fest or any of that stuff, but really more particularly the Xbox Game Showcase? I just feel like no one's talking about it. There's not a lot of hype going into it. Maybe it's because Xbox has destroyed their brand and shot themselves so much in the foot that there's no more foot left to shoot. But it just feels kind of quiet. But Xbox has pretty much never steered us wrong with these summer showcases. So it's like, don't start to doubt them just because, I don't know, just because Xbox has kind of a weird, I don't know, thing around it where it just seems like a bad time to be an Xbox fan. I think we're still going to get incredibly awesome game announcements and extended looks at games that we're all excited to see and learn more about. So I'm very much looking forward to it. So what we're going to do this episode, since it's really a really slow news week, is we're going to go over what we're expecting to see at the showcase event. A couple like, not really like predictions, but just like a couple like guesses or predictions. But for the most part, yeah, we're just going to kind of talk about the things we're expecting to see at this showcase and hoping to see at the showcase, and kind of give ourselves that, I don't know, that refresher of where we are with Xbox. Now that Avowed is out, and South of Midnight is out, and Indiana Jones is out, and Doom: The Dark Ages is out, it's like a lot has happened, and everything on Xbox is on PlayStation. It's a great opportunity to stop and say, where are we with this platform? What are we waiting for? What's next? What is there to look forward to in the near future as an Xbox fan? And to kind of put that on paper and go, okay, well, Sunday, let's see what we got, what they have to say about all this stuff. So I think that'll be a fun way to do the podcast this week. I do want to start with a couple of mildly amusing stories before we get into that, and then we'll do the what I've been eating, what I've been playing, all that shit, yada, yada, yada. But I just thought I'd lay it out there for you. That's kind of the rundown of how we're going to work this week. But let us start out with those mildly amusing stories just to kind of get the ball rolling. Oh, before I say that, notable game releases of the week. There is one I want to throw out there. Splitgate 2. What a weird time to launch this. It's the day after the Switch 2 comes out. It's days before Summer Showcase. I don't know if this is a great or horrible time to put this out, but, Splitgate, which came out in 2021? Which is awesome. This is like Portal meets Halo, as they kept advertising. It's very arena shooter style game. I really liked it. We streamed it a lot back in the day when I used to do streaming. And we used to talk about it a lot on the podcast, back when it first came out. Very fun arena style shooter. Just kind of fell off a cliff once Halo Infinite came out, once people kind of, just got their fill. But the sequel that has been in development for at least 2-3 years that we've known about is here. It's ready to go. Splitgate 2. And it is a play anywhere smart delivery optimized for Series S and X game, and it is out this Friday, June 6th. So be sure to check that out if you're looking for a little arena shooter fix. Maybe you beat Doom: The Dark Ages and you go, man, I wish there was a multiplayer shooter that kind of was somewhat reminiscent of this, and maybe you get into Splitgate as a result. I don't know, but just thought I'd mention that one. But guys, let's get into our mildly amusing stories, beginning with, I think we only have like 3 things to mention here, but this first one is actually quite exciting. IO Interactive has announced that it will be hosting their own showcase on their upcoming games. The showcase will mark the first time the developer and publisher has ever hosted such an event, and will take place this Friday, June 6th. IO has an in-person event taking place in LA during Summer Game Fest, and the IO Showcase stream will be broadcast from this event. According to IO, the event will focus on new details for Hitman: World of Assassinations, Mind's Eye, and the recently re-announced 007 First Light. Speaking of 00 First Light, since this is 007 First Light, as this is the first time we brought it up on the podcast, IO Interactive has debuted a first trailer for their new game, 007 First Light, the studio's James Bond game that they've been working on for, I mean, we've known about this for what, 3 or 4 years now? A trailer for the game was debuted during PlayStation's State of Play presentation, which took place this week on Wednesday, and studio CEO Hakan Abrak stated that back in January 2021 that the game won't lean on previous James Bond movies or actors, and that instead IO was building their own James Bond universe from scratch. And I'm really glad they took that approach, because having seen the trailer that just released, this game looks really cool. Now, there are tiny snippets of gameplay. They're saying if you want to see the game, show up on June 6th to our showcase event. That's when we'll really show off the game running. But I mean, this is the first time they've really shown anything for this game, and so we saw lots of in-engine, in-game kind of cinematic footage to get a tone for like the characters, the world, the setting, and everything. And dude, this game looks freaking awesome. This is very much like, you guys remember how Machine Games did Indiana Jones? This is like IO doing the same thing with James Bond. And I feel like, obviously James Bond it's a giant action movie series, but it's like, man, with the way games look and feel today and how cinematic they can get, I feel like, with things like what Uncharted was able to prove and show off, I feel like trying to make games based on IP like Indiana Jones or James Bond, or even some like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible game or something, it's like, I feel like these are IP that are so prime for video game adaptations, because video games have such a cinematic, action-packed feel, but they're all about action, player control, fighting, and things like that. So it just feels like such a good fit to have a really nice AAA licensed 007 game, and it probably doesn't cost nearly as much as making a Star Wars or Marvel game. But man, this game just looks cool. This new James Bond, it's IO's own interpretation of the character. It's a different version. He's young, he's cool, it's a little more modern, it's a little less like British and classy, but it still has that classy air with the watches and the gadgets and the suits and everything. And it just fucking looks awesome. It looks like a nice third-person action shooter game, very cinematic. It looks very much like it's a game that is, you liked games like Uncharted? Well, try this. It actually gives me a lot of Quantum Break vibes, and I mean that in the most loving way possible, because I absolutely adore Quantum Break. So, IO Interactive over in Denmark, I guess not too far from our friends over at Remedy Entertainment. But yeah, man, I think this game looks really cool and has me really bought in. This is coming to Xbox despite being shown at this PlayStation event, and it is going to release sometime, I think they're saying, in 2026, but nothing firm has been shown yet. So maybe they'll have a date on Friday when they show the gameplay really running in action, but yeah, I mean, no, I guess they don't even say a release date. They don't get into any of those specifics, so we'll have to just wait probably a few days. I'm sure by the time the next episode is out, we'll know more. But yeah, I think this 007 First Light game so far looks pretty promising. All right, next up, guys, People Can Fly have canceled 2 unannounced games and signaled that there will be layoffs at the studio as a result of this publisher disagreement on these 2 projects. The first project, Project Gemini, and an unannounced game which was set to be published by Square Enix, along with the separate unannounced VR game referred to as Project Bifrost, have both been canceled. People Can Fly reportedly laid off about 30 developers working on the unannounced Square Enix game last January. The, quote, suspension of the Gemini project and its consequences of the fact that the publisher has not presented us with a draft of the subsequent contact rider to a publisher agreement covering the terms and conditions of further milestones of the Project Gemini, and the lack of communication from the publisher as its willingness to continue or to terminate Project Gemini, said CEO Sebastian Wojcicki, which just seems like the publisher didn't take action, give them funding or updates or anything like that regarding the progress they'd made. He says Project Bifrost, the other project which was suspended due to the above, and the analysis of the group's cash flow, which showed a lack of prospect for securing organizational resources and funds necessary to continue production and the release of the project. As a result, we have to significantly regroup as a studio, scale down our teams, which hurts us the most. We wish to express our deepest regret and sadness over these events that have unfolded, and our sincere gratitude for everyone's contributions up to this part. Anyway, the thing to mention here is you got to wonder if that Square Enix thing is a sequel to Outriders, their last game that they made back in 2021. And then what that other project was, no fucking clue. But remember, these guys are doing code development work on Gears of War E-Day, so they're getting some Microsoft money right now, and they're supposedly working on a project with PlayStation. So I wonder if this Project PlayStation game has something to do, or Project Bifrost game has something to do with PlayStation. So it's very interesting that they are basically just like, hey, all this stuff is scrapped, and it's the publisher's fault. In one case, they literally go, Square Enix, it's your fault. And in the other case, they go, the publisher we're working with fucked up here. Basically saying that I wonder if the work they're producing or the state of the industry is giving these publishers cold feet, because they're basically not denying, but kind of ghosting them on like progress updates and funding and being like, oh yeah, we like the milestone you've reached. Here's, what we want next from you guys, or here's when we want the game by. So they're kind of just getting left out in the dust. Like, bro, we got to do something here. We got mouths to feed. And so it looks like they're kind of just dropping these projects from a lack of this continued relationship between agreeing publishing parties, which I don't understand how that works, how there aren't contracts and things in place that guarantee them some level of, I don't know, some milestone in which they would reach in the development of these projects before, these games could be canceled or dropped like that. So it seems like they maybe weren't even too far along with some of these projects, that they didn't even make it past a phase where things were really locked into place firmly. So it's just all around unfortunate and bad news for People Can Fly, a developer that has seemed to be in somewhat of a precarious situation the past few years, but I really admire and appreciate these guys, and I just want to see them do well. So hopefully that Gears of War E-Day money helps keep them afloat, and they're able to make it to the next project, because I think the world would be better off with this developer intact, working on games like Bulletstorm, which is fucking awesome, such an underappreciated game. And then finally, guys, Capcom has revealed a new trailer for Pragmata. If you forgot about this game, it's because it was announced back in 2021, and then it was delayed to 2023 after initially being planned for release in 2022, and now it is being released in 2026. So this game is getting a full, the 4-year delay. But during Sony's State of Play presentation this week, they showed off a new trailer, and we got a lot more of a look at what this game actually is compared to what we saw in the years leading up to it. So it's a sci-fi game. The dude's got the gun, and the girl goes on his shoulder, but she's a robot, but she's got emotions. It's very much like God of War and Last of Us meets this fucking Death Stranding style looking game with a little bit of, what's the other one I was going to say? With a little bit of Callisto Protocol. It looks like all these games mashed together, but I don't mean to talk down on the game. I know a lot of people said it had very Death Stranding vibes when it was originally announced. I think the game looks cool. It looked cool then. It still looks cool now. Maybe a little derivative and cliche and uninspired, but also kind of unique at the same time. It's a very odd game, but Capcom has been kind of hitting in recent years, and I suspect that this new IP will also be pretty cool. But man, this game's been in development hell for so long. Clearly, it was supposed to come out a long time ago, but hopefully they really got their grasp on this now, and the project's coming together, because now it's they put a date back on it for the first time in a couple of years. Hopefully this time they can actually make that date happen. So we'll look out for Pragmata, but check out that new trailer and see some gameplay if you want to see where this game has been for all these years. I mean, I think they announced this right after the PS5 came out or something like that. It's been a hot minute. So there's that. Guys, that's all of our small news stories. Let's move on to the games I've been playing and all that stuff real quick before we get into the news, okay? All right, let's get into the games I've been playing this week. But before I can tell you about the games I've been playing, I want to first let you know all about what it is I've been eating. You guys, I am in love with the charcoal grill. So second time this past weekend, I busted out the charcoal grill, got a different kind of experience with it. The first time I did the smoked pork shoulder I told you guys about, so that was great. Spent 8.5 hours smoking that bad boy, got some pulled pork out of it. It was a good time, a lot of fun. This time I said, well, let's try to do something a little more traditional, just some high heat, burgers and hot dogs style grilling. Didn't really do the burgers part of it, but basically what happened was I was like, hey, let's throw some steaks and vegetables on the grill on Sunday night and see how that goes. And it kind of turned into like, hey, what we should do is just take all the meats in the freezer and stuff and just start throwing everything on the grill and just get a whole mess of stuff going so we can have some food throughout the week. And long story short, I ended up grilling. What was it? So when my girlfriend's family visited the other month, they left us a bunch of these pork ribs that were marinated in this crazy marinade that's super good. And so we ended up having pork ribs, hot dogs, steaks, and then we put asparagus, zucchini, peppers, onions, all this shit on the grill. And then with it's quite the opposite of what happened last week. Instead of an 8.5 hour pork shoulder, in a matter of 30 minutes, we were like swimming in we had like meat sweats and like a fucking garden of vegetables at our table. Everything was just charred and delicious and awesome. And honestly, everything turned out pretty fucking great. I actually overcooked the steaks a little more than I would have liked to. I was going for, a standard medium rare like a normal person. Ended up kind of closer to medium well, which is definitely not my preferred temp. But honestly, dude, the charcoal grill, everything tastes so fucking good. The seasoning rub I used on it, the steak quality, everything just worked out to where, despite overcooking it, it still tasted pretty damn good. So the steak was awesome. Honestly, I really loved the zucchini, onions, and peppers blend I did together. That was fucking awesome. Just wrapped it up in some tinfoil, threw a bunch of olive oil, salt, and pepper on those things, and just kind of wrapped it and let it smoke on the grill while I cooked all the meats. And by the time you pulled them off, they were just super awesome. Put some asparagus right on the grill, let it get a little fire kissed, and those were smoky and delicious. But just super good, man. I really have overnight become a huge fan of the charcoal grill, not just the charcoal grill, but grilling in general. I think I'm full blown suburban dad, just minus the child, really, because I mean this Sunday I told my girlfriend, I was like, it's happened. I'm full blown suburban dad. I spent my Sunday doing laundry, grocery shopping, mowing the lawn, edging the lawn, blowing the yard, grilling. What else? Oh, and watching baseball. So I mean, like that's about as suburban dad as it gets. That was my whole Sunday, and before I started grilling, I played a couple levels of Doom: The Dark Ages. But like that was my weekend. It's like that's the most fucking suburban dad thing you can fucking do. So I'm just embracing my new identity, really enjoying the hell out of it. But the grill, a lot of fun. I want to like set something up. I gotta get some people over, grill up some steaks and such, and just have a little barbecue cookout. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So really loving that. And that's it for what I've been eating. And guys, it's healthy. It's so healthy. You see, you put some lean meats on your grill, get some strip steaks, you get some chicken, you get some veggies, and you can have a healthy, delicious meal, all done on the grill, real American style, and then ruin it and wash it all down by just drinking copious amounts of beer and then having some cake when you're done. So that's how you really balance out the healthy with the unhealthy. But that's it for what I've been eating. God bless the USA. God bless grilling. I'm so glad that once the United States of America was formed, we discovered fire so that we could create the grill. Because man, I don't know what the fuck you guys were eating before we did all this stuff. But you're welcome. You're all welcome. Anyway, speaking of you being welcome, let's talk about one of the greatest video game franchises created by the Americans of all time. I'm talking about Doom. This past week, I finished Doom: The Dark Ages. I rolled credits. I beat it. I completed it. I did it all the way to the end, and I'm proud to say. Here's my thing about Doom: The Dark Ages is I think this is my favorite Doom of the recent trilogy, the Doom 2016, Eternal, and Dark Ages trilogy. But that being said, despite being my favorite, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I feel like everything I said last week still holds true, and I have pretty much nothing to add to it. I think the cutscenes are cool, and I appreciate the more cinematic nature. The story is dumb, and I don't care about any of it except for, spoiler alert, towards the end of the game. I'm just going to tell you this because the story of Doom: The Dark Ages doesn't fucking matter one bit, and if I'm spoiling anything for anyone, I don't care. I promise you don't care about this. I'm not spoiling the game for you at all. But there is a part towards the end of the game, not the end of the game, but towards the end of the game, where Doomslayer gets captured, then they remove his helmet, and then they kill him, and then you become a zombie, and then you have to track down your corpse and reincarnate yourself and go through like a Davy Jones Locker pirate level, and the whole fucking thing is so badass. I absolutely adore this game for that alone. But I really love this game. I love the combat. I love how it's like a shit ton of enemies on screen, crazy weapons, chainsaw, Captain America shield looking item weapon with awesome melee weapons to boot, and it's just a blast. It's a really great game to kind of turn your brain off, just play through. Can't really follow the story for shit, don't really care about that, but the game has its issues. I feel like it's a little long in the tooth, could have maybe been a little shorter, would have made it a little sweeter. I feel like the game doesn't have that much variety, despite kind of having variety with those Titan levels and the Dragon levels. I actually grew to like both of those types of levels more the more I played them, to where I really like all that this game has to offer, all of its modes, all of its gimmicks, all of its quirks, all of its different mechanics and stuff. And I really appreciate this game for what it is. It's just that by the end of it, I was like, that was a really, really fun first-person shooter. It's no Halo, you know? It's like I had a great time. It was a good weekend game, and now I just move on and play the next game, and I'm just ready for Mario Kart World and Switch 2, and that's kind of how I feel about it. But like, was Doom the Dark Ages badass? Yeah. Was it like a power fantasy? Yeah. Do I really have much more to say about it beyond that? No, not really. I wish the music was a little louder. I wish the music was more prominent in this game. I ended up towards the end of the game having to turn the music all the way up just to even hear it in some levels. It's like, why would you de-emphasize the music? Isn't that a huge part of Doom? But it's like little gripes like that. But otherwise, I find the game to be really fun. Mr. Malg writes in and he says, I have to agree with Cronky. Doom is really great on PC with keyboard and mouse. It made my PP grow another inch. Every inch counts. Also, have fun at the midnight release for the Switch 2. Let us know how it goes. Brother, I'm not going to the midnight release of the Switch 2. I pre-ordered from Target.com. I'm waiting for Target.com to fucking ship my Switch. It still says preparing to ship, but apparently that's pretty normal. Usually it just says that until like the day of. So there's a chance that it either shows up on release day or like 5 days later. I have no clue at this point in time, but hopefully by the time we're talking next week, I've got my Switch 2. But yeah, I don't doubt that this game is probably best experienced on a PC. I have no regrets just completely ignoring that and playing it on my Series X. I played the whole game on my Series X. I didn't stream any of this or play it on my Series S at all, actually. Yeah, I played the entire game on my Series X, and I had a great time. The game looks great. It ran great. I had a fun time. I don't need to consider playing on a place where I don't enjoy playing games because it just feels like work. So I'm glad people are liking the PC performance and feel of the game. I'm sure that feels more authentic and old school. I too grew up playing Doom on a PC, so I understand the value of that experience. But for me, it's just, I'm sorry, if I can play it on Xbox, I'm just going to play it on Xbox. It's like, hey, listen, it's like playing Sonic on Nintendo. It felt so wrong for so long, and now we don't know any different, right? But that's it really for what I've been playing. I just don't have too much to say to it. It's just such a no-brainer game if you have a Game Pass subscription, or if you want to subscribe to Game Pass for 1 month to check it out. But it's not a game that I'd be like, drop everything and go pay $70 to experience this game. I don't think you need to do that. It's very much worth a sale. It's worth a Game Pass subscription. Or if you're a big Doom fan, yeah, it's a worthy addition to the series. It's a great new addition to the series. It takes some bold risks and does some things differently that I really appreciate. But for those who, if you're someone who doesn't have a history playing these games, I don't think this game is going to move the needle anyway. If you're someone who adored the previous entries, I think there's a good chance that you might be whelmed by this game. It might not be better than the last one. It might just be more of the same, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I just found this game to be a ton of fun. A little repetitive and boring towards the end. Not boring, but just kind of like, all right, we've seen this. It's a little samey towards the end. But overall, I just had such a good time playing it that, whatever, 22 levels of this, it was very fun, distracting, blow off some steam and kind of enjoy your weekend entertainment. And I'm glad I played Doom the Dark Ages. But will I think about it or talk about it beyond that? No, not really. I'm done with it now. So time for Switch 2. Xbox, you're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus. It seems like I want to get back to Oblivion. I want to get to Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I haven't even started yet. But let's be honest, for the next week or two, I'm pretty much gung-ho on Switch, and that's just going to be how it is. So guys, with that said, let's take one more quick little break, and then we'll get into the Xbox showcase, the expectations, the predictions. This is our pre-show for predictions and pre-expectations. I hope you will look forward to discussing with me. Thank you. All right, guys, so the Xbox Game Showcase, so June 8th, Sunday, June 8th, as it always is. Let's talk about something real quick before we get into these expectations and such. A little bit of the schedule. So Sunday, June 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, that's the Xbox Game Showcase. But a few days before that, on Friday the 6th, the day after this podcast goes live, Summer Game Fest, Devolver Digital Direct, and IO Interactive's Showcase all take place on that day, with Summer Game Fest going live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and then a few hours later, Devolver Digital does their Direct at 8 p.m., and then followed by IO Interactive's Showcase at 9 p.m. I have no interest really in watching those latter two, but I'll probably watch Summer Game Fest at 5 p.m. on Friday night. Summer Game Fest is like the Game Awards, but just even more boring. Usually, there's always good announcements. There's always some good stuff in there, but man, there's usually a lot of meandering and bullshit and weird stuff in between all of it. So I don't know. I'm not super hyped about that, but I know that there will be some things from that showcase that are definitely exciting and worth getting into. So we'll talk about that next on the next podcast. But obviously, the next podcast is going to predominantly be about the Xbox Game Showcase. So just for setup, I did a bad job making you guys aware of this and kind of setting the stage. Next week's podcast is going to go live 3 days early on Monday. Same time as always, 9 a.m., but it'll be Monday morning instead of Thursday because obviously all the news is going to happen on this weekend. And then Monday we'll have the podcast live so we can react to all the news from the Xbox Showcase. And then we'll have a long week without an Xbox On podcast. So, it'll go live Monday. Then that Thursday there will be no podcast. And the next week on Thursday we'll be back to normal with a Thursday show. But I just want to put that out there. I meant to be warning you guys about this week after week for the past few weeks like I normally do every year. But I've just been very bad about really hyping. Not hyping up, about staying locked in on this because I'm like, whatever. I think I have that malaise that it feels like most people have, where it's like, yeah, Summer Game Fest and Xbox Game Showcase and all that stuff is happening imminently, but like for some reason there's just not a huge hype around it, us getting there. So I don't know. Again, I'm really confident that this showcase is going to put the excitement back in things. But as of right now, I guess I just feel like it's just too distracting. Xbox just put out like 8.6 trillion video games that are keeping us distracted. Nintendo's about to start a new generation Nintendo consoles. It's just, there's a lot going on. And now it's like, oh yeah, and in Summer Game Fest and all that is like in 3 days. So bear with us, okay? There's only so much mental energy to be spent, but let's get into this Xbox Showcase expectations and predictions. I'm ready to start out. So here's the thing is, I did this in a very lazy manner because I do not have an order. It's not like, I think first they're going to do this and they're going to close out that. This is just in no particular order. So I just want to start out with some obvious ones. I feel very confident in saying that Gears of War E-Day will be at this event. I think it would be a great way to open or close the event, one of those two things. But who knows? It could appear anywhere in the event. Gears of War E-Day allegedly is going to be released next year. I know originally there were some rumors that it was going to come out this year. Guys, if you're one of those people that's holding out hope for Gears E-Day to come out this year, I can just tell you right now, please stop. It's not happening. That's why we're getting this Gears of War remastered edition for PlayStation and Xbox, is because it's supposed to hype you up for next year when Gears E-Day comes out. So E-Day, I believe, is coming next year. Really actually exciting how fast they've been able to kind of get us from announcement to release on this game, because this game was only announced about a year ago. So by the time all is said and done, it should be about a 2-week wait, which is kind of like back in the day that was normal, but these days that's unheard of. So I'm excited for that. Very much looking forward to seeing this game in action. I think with this year, what you can look forward to is not only getting a 2026 release date, probably not a firm date, just a vague fall 26 or 2026, something like that. But the important thing is I think we will get some serious gameplay and really see what this game looks like. I mean, spoiler alert, it's going to look like Gears of War, but you know what I mean. It's going to, we'll get to see this game in particular. And I'm very interested and excited to see that because it's been way too fucking long since we've had a Gears of War game. And as someone who is a little salty that they just kind of cliffhanger ended Gears 5 and then abandoned it, I just want to see at least some Gears of War rather than nothing. So this is just something I'm looking forward to. All right, next up, here's a game that we are long overdue to get an update for. Speaking of games that get announced way too early. State of Decay 3. I mean, this game was announced, I want to say 2021? It was probably 2021, maybe 2020. It's been a long time. We've been waiting for State of Decay 3. I'm also going to guess that this is a 2026 game. So pay attention to when I say 2026, because at the end we're going to circle back and try to build out the 2026 Xbox release calendar. So my guess is State of Decay 3 gets a re-reveal, because we know this game had some internal development turmoil and kind of got like the soft reboot and all that shit. So I'm wondering if this is now the time where it's going to be ready to go. I really am willing to bet serious fake money that this game is ready to show. We're going to get gameplay. We're going to get a release date, not a specific date, but a 2026 mark. And I'm very, very excited to finally get this game off the docket, because it's one of those games where it's like, it makes Xbox look bad that this has been lingering for so long. This game, along with 3 other games, there's 4 Xbox games total that I'm just like, what are we doing here with this game? Like, where is it? When's it coming out? Technically 5 games, but I only care about 4 of them. So, State of Decay is one of those games where it's like, let's shit or get off the pot, guys. So I think 2026 release, we get a re-reveal trailer, we get some gameplay, and I think this game has the potential to be big, because State of Decay is always this game that's like close to being huge, but it's just really big instead. But I think now that they're clearly going to put this shit on PlayStation, and that they've had all this time to try and like evolve the formula, I feel like this could be the one that really cracks the code and takes it to that next level of playership and engagement. So that's State of Decay 3. And then the next game is probably the game that, this is the game that I assume that fits a very specific mold. This is the game that fits the mold of, I 100% expect that we will see it here. And because of that, it is probably my most anticipated game of the show, because, God, I'm really looking for this game. And that is Clockwork Revolution. So the next game from In Exile Entertainment, the Wasteland guys. So very, very excited about this BioShock Infinite meets Wasteland looking game we got here, where it's a very like meaty RPG, but it has more of this AAA first person Western RPG open world kind of Fallout look to it. This game looked so cool when they announced that tonal trailer. What was it, a year or 2 ago? And I think now's the time. We get the gameplay reveal, and then I'm expecting this is a 2027 game. That is my expectation for Clockwork Revolution. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, that's probably a 26 game. I don't think it is. My guess is 2027, just knowing that every game comes out usually 3 to 6 years after it's announced. But I mean, I would love to be proven wrong, because, man, I would like to play this game sooner. But I'm very much anticipating this game. It's one of those Xbox games where I'm like, that's gonna be that next big marquee release for me. So I'm very much looking forward to Clockwork Revolution. Very much looking forward to seeing what it looks like in action, because I want it to be as nerdy and hardcore of an RPG as a game like Wasteland, but with that third-person AAA open world kind of look and feel. So I'm just very excited to see if it is really the melding of those two things. It's just kind of what they alluded to it being, and man, that just sounds so great. So very much want to see Clockwork Revolution. Next up, and again, this is no particular order, but let's move over to our hardware announcement. I think we will get either or the Xbox Elite 3 controller or the Sabile controller, which is that new evolution of Xbox controller. I think more likely we're going to get the Elite 3 controller, and that'll be that. And then we'll get Sabile be like the new standard controller for the next generation of Xbox in a year or 2 when that comes out. But maybe we get both. I don't know, because I just don't understand the whole like Sabile controller thing, where it has like the wake to raise thing and like the HD rumble thing and all that crap. That controller that leaked a few years ago that never ended up seeing the light of day. I think at this point it's just been so long that you might as well just make it the new standard controller for Xbox in the next generation. But the rumor is that we could get it this showcase. So I'm going to guess that Elite Series 3 is based on the current Xbox controller, and that's going to get announced and revealed at this showcase. And then Sabile is something we will see in the next generation. But I think at the very least, one, if not both, of these things will be shown at this event. So that is my expectation for hardware. Really, for the most of it, I see a lot of people saying, oh, they're going to talk about the new Asus, whatever fucking Xbox third-party handheld thing. I don't think so. I don't think that's really an Xbox thing all that much. I think people are overestimating how much of an Xbox thing that is. I think it's just some Xbox licensed thing where they don't want you to start to think that that's the next Xbox. I don't think they themselves are going to be the ones doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the marketing and pushing of that product. So I don't expect to see it here, but I do see that some people really do believe we're going to see it on this at this event. But personally, I doubt it. Speaking of things I doubt, I've also seen a lot of people say, oh, this is where we're going to get our first tease of the Halo Combat Evolved trailer, because, 343 Studios, now called Halo Studios, are working on a new Halo game built in Unreal Engine now that the game series is being moved over to Unreal Engine. And we all know, as the rumors have suggested for a long time, that what they're going to make is a from the ground up reimagining of the first Halo game, Combat Evolved. And it's going to be released for Xbox and PlayStation and all that stuff, possibly even Switch 2, blah, 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 blah. And while I believe that all of that stuff is exactly what's going on and exactly what's true, what I don't believe is that this will be the time and place to reveal it. Now, could they slap together some kind of minute and 30-second teaser trailer that shows like the setting and some tonal piece and stuff? Yes. But do I think they should do that? No. And I hope that Xbox has learned that we need fewer premature game announcements and we need more space between, we need less space between announcement to release date. So my hope is that they just acknowledge that they have enough shit going on right now that they don't need to milk the Halo tea, that they can let it bake for a little while we focus on Fable and things like that and Gears of War, and let those games have their moment in the spotlight, and then maybe come back to Halo next year or something like that. But I know a lot of people are expecting to see this here, so there's the possibility that we get that Halo Combat Evolved remake teaser at the very least. And I mean, that game to me is 2 to 3 years out at the very least. But some people think it's sooner. I doubt it. Speaking of things that are 100% guaranteed to be there, but might not be exciting, is the obligatory, never fails to show up, boring-ass ZeniMax Online updates for Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. You fucking know it. You know there's just going to be 10 minutes of the show. I don't know how long it usually is, but it feels like 10 to 20 minutes. I know that's an exaggeration, but it always feels so long. And they're like, Elder Scrolls Online, Golden Ring update. Hire elves to take you places you've never been before. And they're like, Fallout 76, it's the retro future update where you can really get your jimmies in a tussle with a fine lady. And it's like, holy shit, either talk about the next Fallout game or the next Elder Scrolls game, or just like fuck right off, because even though these are live service games that have a dedicated audience, nobody else here wants to hear about this shit. But they're going to do it. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to force it down our throats. You're going to have to hear about Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. I just fucking know it. But that's a given. Next up, here's something I think we're ready for. Something we haven't seen, something that hasn't been announced, but the time is now, I believe. And that is, it's time for Double Fine to announce their next game. Psychonauts 2 came out, 3 years ago now? So I mean, it's time. It's time to find out, what are you working on now. Do we need a release date? No, but I think now is the time where you show the 1.5-minute teaser trailer. You release the name for the game. You show a character. You show a setting. You show like a little quirky piece, whatever. You give us a little tease. You tell us the name of the game, and then we probably don't see it for 2 or 3 years. But I think it's time to find out what Double Fine is up to next. This is a studio that for so long has juggled between like big releases and smaller little indie, more nimble releases. And now that they have this Xbox money and they're not pigeonholed to, or they're not tied down to fulfilling this Kickstarter goal with what Psychonauts 2 ended up being, I just feel like now they have time to make a from the ground up, fully funded Xbox first party game. And I'm really excited to see what these guys can put together, because it's been kind of a while since they've had first party money, or they've never been a first party team, but it's been a while since they've had this kind of like big budget money. And I'm just really excited to see what it looks like when they can really go balls to walls and do anything and everything that they aspire to create. And so I'm really excited to see what's next from Double Fine. And I think this is going to be the showcase where we find out what that next thing is, although I do think it's years away. Speaking of things that have been years away, but hopefully aren't too much further away, I think now is the time to do the re-reveal, bring the red carpet back out for Everwild. This is Rare's new game, the game to follow up Sea of Thieves. We have heard about this game. We've known about this game for 4 or 5 years at this point. We know that internally it kind of got rebooted. It was handed off to different studio heads and things like that. There's been a lot of shakeup at Rare, and this project has been in some turmoil for some time, but from what we know or don't know and have to assume from the lack of reporting, is that this game should have been coming along for a couple of years now and should be ready to really show. Now, do I think this is a 2026 game? I think there's a chance it's a 2026 game, but I think more likely Everwild is a 2027 game, but we should be able to get a pretty good look at it this year. So I think this year you get some gameplay a new trailer that gives us a lot better idea of what this game is, because I still don't really even fucking know what kind of game it is. Is it an action adventure? Is it a first person shooter? Is it a tactical RPG? Is it a point and click adventure? I don't fucking know. So get an idea of what it is, what the game's like, and then just tease like 2026 or something like that. I don't know, and then delay it to 2027. I think that's what you do with a game like this. But I really want to see Everwild, and I'm really hoping that this is the time where we see it, and I think it is. So. That one I'm really looking forward to, and I do expect to see it. I feel pretty confident we'll see Everwild on Sunday. So that's the next one there. We're covering a lot of bases here. Looking at the Xbox Game Studios catalog, we talked about 343/Halo Studios, World's Edge. I don't care about. We'll skip over it. Compulsion. We know they're not coming up anytime soon because they just launched a game. We just talked about Double Fine. We just talked about the Coalition Gears of War. We talked about. We're about to talk about the Initiative. We talked about In Exile. I don't care about Mojang. I don't think we'll hear from Ninja Theory, although Ninja Theory should give an update on that Project Mara game, that mental health game project, whatever thing they're doing with universities and in certain organizations that they bragged about 3 or 4 years ago and then never said anything about again. So we should hear something from Ninja Theory, but I don't know about that. But we got some other teams to get into here, so talked about Undead Labs with State of Decay, and we just talked about Rare. So we got a couple more studios to touch on here. But first, before we continue on with the Xbox Game Studios brands, I do just want to say this second party game being done by, what are they called? Avalanche, Contraband, this multiplayer heisting whatever game, Contraband, that was teased 3 or 4 years ago. Dude, this shit's vaporware. I think it's time to just acknowledge this game isn't coming out. I don't think this is where you do it. I think it's probably not going to be present at this showcase. And then later on this year, we're going to find out the game's been canceled finally. The reason we haven't found out sooner is because I think they're trying to salvage it. But dude, this game's just got to get canceled. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know that it could be anything that's that important that we have to belabor this thing for years and years and years. But Contraband, I think, is vaporware. It's time to pull the plug on it. I don't think it's going to be present at the show. I think later this year, we're going to find out the truth behind this game. But I don't personally expect to see it on Sunday. And I hope to be wrong, but that's kind of where I am. Now, going back to our Xbox Game Studios teams, we got one that I'm very, very, very excited about, and that is the Initiative. We expect to see Perfect Dark get a release date. I fully expect this is a 2026 game coming out next year. I think we'll get another good look at it from a gameplay standpoint. And I think that we'll see it in a new setting. Give us another gameplay demo, 2-3 minutes, a new setting, a new mission type, and let us see some more of what this game has on offer. And then we'll come back to this in a little bit since it's one of our 2026 games. But I think Perfect Dark is a shoo-in for next year, and I'm very excited to see this game. It's come very far along. A lot of people were down on this game for the longest time, and then when we saw it last year, it was like, holy shit, that game looks awesome. It was such a good like comeback moment where it was like the Initiative was able to take all the negative press and the criticism, the skepticism, and just shut everyone the fuck up by showing gameplay that looked phenomenal. And I love that. I love that so much for the Initiative, and I wish for things like that to happen more often, because gamers are so negative, they're so critical, they're so judgmental, they assume so much, and it's just so cool when the developers are able to put their money where their mouth is and shut everyone the fuck up with this awesome thing they're working on. I feel like Perfect Dark has done a great job of winning everyone back over with that amazing gameplay reveal last year, and I just really hope we get to see more of that, along with the confirmation that, next year you're going to be playing this game, 2026, let's go, baby. So that's what I'm really excited about. And then we start to get towards the end of the Xbox Game Studios catalog here, because we know we're not going to see Turn 10. Forza Motorsport just came out a few years ago. We're probably a few years away from the next one. But we haven't talked about the other Forza studio, Playground Games, who we know are working on not Forza, but Perfect Dark. Now, apparently there's a second team working on New Forza Horizon. Maybe we see something about that. But more importantly, Fable. Fable gets a release date. It is 2026, and it has a real gameplay demo for once. Not like everything's an engine, you're so stupid. No. I want to see a HUD. I want to see consecutive gameplay moments. I want to see combat. I want to see character interact with the world. I want to see this game running as if I'm watching a YouTube playthrough video. So please, I think this is the year where we got to get it, man. I understand this game keeps getting delayed. I respect that. Delay it as much as you have to, but don't bring it back unless you're going to show us something we haven't seen before, because at this point we've seen a lot of the humor, we've seen a lot of the world, the teasers, the vibe videos, but it's time to see this game really truly being operated in action. Give us a proper gameplay demo. Very much looking forward to that. But Fable will no doubt be here. This is a slam dunk shoe-in guarantee for the showcase, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I know most of you are as well. This is probably the most anticipated game on Xbox right now. I mean, it's Gears of War E-Day, and it's Fable. So this is, very good, exciting time for Xbox. We're getting some Xbox 360 resurgence with the hype for Gears of War and Fable. And this is a 2026 game throughout, right? Next up is the game that we know the showcase is going to end on and focus on, which is Outer Worlds 2 from Obsidian, a team that already went this year, and that's going to go again later in the year. So we'll get a firm release date for Outer Worlds 2. We'll get a lot more gameplay, because we know that after the showcase, they're going to end with that Outer Worlds Direct or Outer Worlds Showcase, kind of like how last year they did Black Ops 6, and 2 years ago they did Starfield, and a few years before that they did Halo, etc., etc. So we know we're going to get that this year with Outer Worlds 2. So that's going to be the big cap-off game. They've already confirmed that. There's no speculation there, and we know this game comes out later this year. So obviously we're going to see tons and tons of Outer Worlds 2. This is going to be the biggest game the game that we are going to see the most of at this showcase. But that's going to kind of left me wondering. It's like, well, last year they did Call of Duty because, they just got Activision. It's time to brag about Call of Duty. But Call of Duty comes out every year. So if you're not going to end with Call of Duty, where does that fit in? And so I think that we will get the reveal of the next Call of Duty game at this showcase, but it will be a teaser trailer or reveal, and then it will end with see more at Call of Duty Next, which is that Call of Duty esports event that happens when is it? It happens like July, August, something like that. And that's when we'll get more of a rollout for the next Call of Duty game. I mean, this is like the longest. I mean, it's June. This is like the longest we've gone without a proper reveal for the next Call of Duty in many years. So this is clearly something different now that Xbox is in charge with how they want to announce and market and roll out these games, now that Activision isn't independent. And so it'll be interesting to see. My assumption is Call of Duty gets to be a big reveal at Xbox's showcase, and that's why we haven't heard anything just yet. So really excited to see how they play that off, just because the marketing machine for Call of Duty has been so predictable and so, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just been so predictable and so much of a given for so long that to shake up the way that they announce and reveal and launch these games it's kind of crazy, because it's just going against a status quo that's been in place for well over a decade at this point. So, but that's how I think they're going to handle Call of Duty. Now, we talked about Fable, we talked about Outer Worlds, Elder Scrolls 6. This is another one where I'm seeing a lot of people say, surely we're going to see this. Now, I was in full expectation that there's going to be not even a peep or a whisper on Elder Scrolls 6. Don't even think about it. But then I watched a little bit of a video from Mr. Matty Plays on YouTube, and he made a point. I didn't watch his whole predictions video, but I watched a little bit of it, and he made a point that I couldn't help but think, damn, that is a very good observation. It's a very good series of dots to connect, which is that one of the reasons why they maybe rushed and forced this Oblivion remaster to come out and shadow drop when it did, against Avowed and all these other Xbox games that are just hitting us, is because maybe what the plan was to put out Oblivion Remastered, get everyone hooked on it, bring back all the good feels and all the good vibes and all the love that people have for that series and for Bethesda, and then use that, capitalize on it weeks later at this Xbox showcase by being like, oh yeah, and here's Elder Scrolls 6 coming out in 2 years. Look at it. Here's a little setting tonal piece trailer. And I thought that is actually genius marketing. That is an amazing idea. But I don't think Xbox is smart enough to do that. They usually never are. And just think this game is so fucking far away, and they're working on Starfield DLC and stuff. I hope to be wrong. I hope we get a teaser trailer for Elder Scrolls 6. I hope the game is closer to release than we thought it was. But I'm not expecting Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not holding my breath for it, although I thought that was a very compelling observation and a series of dots to connect to maybe suggest that this would happen and that perhaps I'm wrong. But I hope to be wrong. That's just all I gotta say about Elder Scrolls. Now, speaking of games that, what the fuck? Where is it? OD. I think OD should get a proper reveal. I think it's got to happen, right? Death Stranding 2 is about to come out. Hideo Kojima is very busy working on some other things. This Jordan Peele, Hideo Kojima experience, not quite video game thing that they've been working on with Xbox for years now. It's time to just show this thing off. Let us know what the fuck it is. We know it's some smaller, probably more bite-sized experience. It's not a full-blown video game. So let's just see what it is, put a date on it, bring it out next year, and let's just get this one crossed off the list at this point. It's been so long. I just feel like, again, it's like, it not only has it been so long, but it's like so long of this like ominous teasing and no one knows what the fuck it is or what it's going to be. And I just want to be done with it already. Maybe this is a Game Awards announcement because Kojima and Keighley go together like peanut butter and jelly. But man, I hope we see it here, and I hope they just kind of get this one off the plate already, because I'm a little tired of the speculation, the never-ending question asking and hand-wringing about what the hell OD is going to be whenever we finally figure it out. So that's that. And then, guys, speaking of disappointing announcements, one of the things I am firmly putting my flag in the ground on is that I predict there will be absolutely no announcement of a Final Fantasy VII remake or Final Fantasy XVI port for Xbox consoles. Despite them coming to Switch, despite the PC versions that came out earlier in the year, I do not think that Xbox is getting these games. I think PlayStation did some dirty deed with the devil to ensure these games never come to Xbox, and the fact that they weren't announced for Xbox when they were announced for PC, and then on top of that, they were then later announced for Switch 2, just tells me that this shit ain't happening. Not Final Fantasy 16, that's not coming to Switch 2, but Final Fantasy 7 coming to Switch 2, and Final Fantasy 16 being announced for PC, and Xbox still being left out in the dust. I just don't see it happening. I think at this point, Final Fantasy on Xbox, so Square Enix, it just sounds like it's not going to make enough money to justify even the port work, and so I guess they're just not doing it, and or Sony has some agreement in place to make sure Xbox just never gets access to these games. So I'm just not holding my breath. I am not assuming shit, and if I ever play Final Fantasy VII Remake at this point, it will be on Switch 2, because I guess that's where it's going to be now. All right. Now, this is one that I think is way more likely to happen at Summer Game Fest than at the Xbox Showcase. But I am expecting that sometime this weekend we are going to get a reveal and announcement for Sonic Frontiers 2, a follow-up game to 2022's Sonic Frontiers, which was fucking phenomenal. Such a great 3D Sonic game. I'm ready for the next chapter. Sonic games usually are every 3 or 4 years, so I am ready for a reveal for a 2026 Sonic Frontiers 2. Let's fucking make it happen. I'm ready to will it into existence. That's all I gotta say about that. Now, we know Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming out this year. It was already announced at the Xbox Developer Direct earlier in the year. So I assume we will get another trailer for that and a firm date, because we don't have a date yet. So maybe a November, December date for Ninja Gaiden 4. But time to put a date on that. Give us another look at that. Remind audiences that this game is on the way. I am 100% confident we will see Ninja Gaiden 4 at this event. And I look forward to seeing it, because I had a lot of fun playing Ninja Gaiden 2 earlier this year on Xbox Series S. All right, we already talked about COD, so I'll skip that one. But I got a few more here. I think Sarah Bond is going to mention player choice. And I think Phil Spencer is going to mention Game Pass and also player choice. I think that's going to be a thing we're going to talk about. Playing your games wherever you are. Xbox will meet you whatever screen you're at. Xbox allows players to choose how and where and when they want to play. I feel like both these two executives are going to have at least one talking moment in this showcase, probably exactly one each, and they will both talk about player choice or playing where and how and when you want, and that is what I expect to hear from them. And then my final prediction or assumption is that Toys for Bob and Blizzard announcements, I'm assuming neither. I think it's very possible we get a Blizzard announcement about like an expansion, something for Overwatch or Diablo or something like that. But I am not expecting a Blizzard remake. I know, or announcement like a brand new game, or people are talking about World of Warcraft coming to Xbox, or people are talking about Toys for Bob making a Spyro or Crash Bandicoot game for Activision. I know people are talking about all those things. I don't think we will see any of that. I think maybe a Blizzard announcement for an expansion or something like that for something live service like Diablo 4. But shy of that, I'm not expecting any Toys for Bob or any Blizzard announcements. The only Activision announcement would be the new Call of Duty. But that kind of covers all of our bases, because at this point I'm trying to look at the list of developers. We didn't talk about id because they just released a game. Tango Gameworks, lol, rest in peace. Arcane, I don't think we're ready to go there yet. And then, that's kind of it. Like, we've covered the bases. Those are the Xbox teams, and shy from any new second-party announcements. I think that's really it. We didn't talk about Mojang, but maybe they'll have something Minecraft to announce, because Minecraft movie's so hype and everything right now. So maybe there'll be some new kind of update or something like that. But aside from that, I think that's really what all we can expect from this event, aside from whatever third-party games or Game Pass gets that they are able to snag. That will be no doubt announced at this event, like how Claire Obscure Expedition 33 was announced last year at Xbox's Direct. So something like that of that caliber could happen again as well. But I just want to wrap up with this notion here, which is that I've highlighted these 5 games saying firmly that these will be our 2026 games. I said Gears of War E-Day, State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, Fable, and OD. So I'm expecting that in January, we are going to get a new developer direct that's going to focus on Gears of War, State of Decay, Perfect Dark, and Fable at the very least. Possibly OD will be covered in that as well. I don't know how they're going to market that with it being more of an experience and less of a game, but we will find out. Those are the 5 games I'm assuming are Xbox's 2026 slate. But I just got to say, this year has been a strong one so far. We got Doom, we got South of Midnight, we got Avowed, we got Oblivion Remake, we got all these games. We got Outer Worlds 2 on the way. It's been a great lineup. But when I look at next year and I think about State of Decay, even though I'm not crazy about State of Decay, it sells really well. Gears of War, I love Gears of War. Who the fuck doesn't love Gears of War? Perfect Dark, it looks phenomenal. Fable, it looks phenomenal. Dude, if we can just get Perfect Dark, Fable, and Gears, those 3 games alone, these are heavy hitters for Xbox next year. And of course, yes, they're big hitters for PlayStation because Xbox has no soul anymore. But dude, that's a fucking hell of a... you think they've been having a great year the past year or two with all these games they're putting on other platforms and all the games that they're releasing that are doing well for them. It is going to pop off like crazy when you have Gears of War, Perfect Dark, and Fable all in the mix on the same year. So I'm very much looking forward to what Xbox looks like in 2026. Super stoked. It just sounds great. All right, guys, that is going to do it for everything this week, except for a couple of wrap-up comments. Let's go over to some comments from youtube.com/Xbox On Podcasts, where a couple of you wrote in. So let's just read these in no particular order, where Cronky follows up and says, hey, speaking of Doom, 2 things. I decided to replay 2016 and Eternal, and I actually enjoyed the story in both those games. If you have to read all the codex entries, but you don't have to read all the codex entries, but I did, and this time they actually put a lot of work into it. Fun stuff. Second, I owe you an apology, because I played Doom Eternal on Xbox because my PC seems to be dying and it actually controlled reasonably well. Definitely not as fluid and agile as it is on PC, but I was able to beat the game on hard difficulty without too much difficulty, so I guess I have to eat my words. So I appreciate you eating your words on the games being competent on Xbox. Of course, you're entitled to your preference of where to play them and everything. But what I want you to eat shit on is the whole open-ended, more open nature of Doom Eternal, because I just remember that one being the more open-ended one with more exploration and more seamlessness between levels and stuff. So I don't know, man. You just played them. Maybe you're right and I'm wrong, but I just don't remember Doom 2016 being the one that was a little more open-ended and open zone-esque, if you will. But glad you enjoyed Doom on console. See, Xbox, it's a great place for all the games, except Nintendo games, apparently. Objects in Space writes in and says, I pretty much exclusively play single-player games. Never got into multiplayer other than a couch co-op session on Halo back in the day. And these days, life is too busy for everyone's schedules to line up and play anything. So when some of my friends and I finally locked in some time, we jumped into Call of Duty Warzone, boot camp because we suck. And let me tell you what, it was one of the best nights of gaming I've had in a long time. Well, Objects in Space, I love to hear that for you, buddy. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I really relate to this sentiment because that's how I am. When I was younger, I loved gaming with friends. I loved playing on Xbox Live. I loved going to friends' houses or having friends come over and playing split screen and stuff. But the older I get, the less I want to play video games with other people. I don't want to play my games with other people. Now, I don't mind if it's like, oh, you got friends visiting and you're going to play Mario Kart or Smash Bros or something, something that's like a party game, like a gather around the TV, kind of like, let's play 30 minutes of this and move on with our night. I'm down for a little bit of that. But this whole guys, hop on tonight, we're going to play 20 matches of Overwatch. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to squat up with anyone and play Overwatch or Marvel's Rivals or Fortnite or any of this stuff. It's not a dig on any of these games at all. It's just that I no longer really find the value in playing games that way. I have such a growing backlog, and it's like I just enjoy playing my games and knocking them out one after another and moving on from game to game to game and not getting stuck on any one particular product. However, that being said, every once in a while, there's a time where a group of friends or your brothers or whatever get together and the stars align and everyone hops on and you play a game together. And I have that experience, it feels like once or twice a year. And I always walk away like, damn, that was really good. I forgot how much I really enjoy, when the game's right, the timing's right, the group is right, all the stars align just so it can be really great to have a night of Call of Duty Zombies or something like that with the boys, right? But I'm like you, man. I just rarely ever experience it anymore. And most of the time, I really don't want it. But when it happens and it hits, man, there's nothing like it. Gaming can be such a fun experience like that. I really wish I knew people who were getting Switch 2 because I kind of want to coerce people into buying that stupid camera because I kind of want to try Switch 2 with the dumb little camera. Because there's something about it just seems kind of like quaint and novel at the same time. It seems like a throwback to something while also being different. And, there's a time and place for that kind of stuff. I look forward to trying those things and experiencing those things again. But yeah, man, I get it, man. You get older. It's like you got to mostly play by yourself, but enjoy those times where you can go back or recede to being a child and play with your buddies again. Sam Frito gets the last comment of the week and says, just adding my 2 cents. The Ant Stream Xbox collab for the Caveman 2600 retro games. It's a nice idea, but the streaming is not. I have an old PSP game disc that has about 20 of these Activision games on it from the early 80s, and they load and play off RAM, and it plays without hiccups, all while giving a full jukebox of 80s licensed music from Blondie, Cars, Devo, Rush, etc. That's on a PSP's RAM. I don't really enjoy much of those score chase games, but I am glad that we progressed beyond so much of that rip-off arcade style game and sell it for the home console Activision hustle. This is what they did initially to become the conglomerate that they are today. Now give me those Treyarch, Beanox, Spider-Man, High Moon, Transformers games not streamed, and I will lift the curse. Amen, brother. Appreciate the history lesson, the and your perspective having played through this classic collection that's available to Game Pass subscribers. But bro, oh my god, I don't have too much to say this. I just appreciate the PSA, but I will definitely echo and back you up on the give us those fucking Treyarch, Beanox, High Moon, Spider-Man, Transformers games. It is time, man. It is time. We have suffered long enough. Listen, you've laid off tons of people. You have really not done anything to change the shit about Activision that people hated. The FTC gave up and finally lost, and then Brad Sands came out and said today is a day where gamers won. But where are the X-Men Wolverine Origins, X-Men Origins Wolverine games? Where are the Spider-Man Friend or Foes and Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man Hulk Ultimate Destructions and the Transformers games that we are all yearning for? The War for Cybertron, more like the war for decent licensed third-party games from back in the day. I say bring them back. I say Phil Spencer, if you don't announce remasters of old Activision Spider-Man games this year at your summer showcase, then you're a fraudulent CEO of gaming, and you should put your gamer cred up for auction because you don't deserve to have it, okay? All proceeds going to Make-A-Wish kids who couldn't get Nintendo Switch pre-orders because fucking Russian bots. I don't know. But guys, that's going to do it for our Xbox podcast this week. I don't know why I'm tired. It's been a short one. It's only been like an hour and 15 minutes. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. If you pre-order a Switch 2, good fucking luck. Seems like they're not that hard to get. I was going to take the rest of the week off, but then I have this work meeting function tomorrow that is making me very unavailable all fucking day on Switch 2 launch day, which is making me very frustrated. But it just is what it is. Sometimes the adult life comes first. It's okay. But I am still taking a Friday off work, which I'm very much excited for. So hopefully Target delivers my Switch 2. It says it's coming before the 11th, but I think that's a placeholder date. I'm hoping that I at least get it by Friday, Saturday, so I can spend some of my weekend playing the Switch 2. God, that would suck if it comes later, because then the Xbox showcase, then the work week, and it fucks everything up. So really, really hoping that I get the Switch 2 Friday or Saturday at the very latest, but very much looking forward to playing it. Hope you guys get yours if you pre-ordered. If not, hope you have a great weekend. Play some Xbox, enjoy your games, play some Doom the Dark Ages, grill some meat, hang out with your family, pet your dog, throw your kid into the pool, even if he can't swim. He's got floaties probably maybe somewhere. And until next week, be good, be safe, be well, and power your dreams.